Hey there, welcome back. In this short, maybe long video, we're going to live code a addition to our tiny house community Next.js site that we made in our last video. Bruce Martin commented, he said, "Fantastic video, thank you. Can you do a follow-up video on how to use Airtable and Pipedream to list the individual pages through the getStaticPaths method?" Which we are happy to do. Great suggestion. So for those who don't know or new to Next.js, the getStaticPaths method is like a callback to tell Next.js to instead render the website as a static HTML and CSS output instead of rendering on the server side when the new request is coming in. And that way you improve site speed. It's great for SEO because there's no server to render. It's all flat files that load super quick. And it's just a better experience for the end user. And Next.js actually makes it really simple with this getStaticPaths hook. So I'm going to show you how to use that. So first, let's get reacclimated with our code base since it's been a minute. So under our Next.js repository, which you could clone yourself and use, we'll go under the examples directory and then look at our Airtable DB. I assume you've already yarn installed. I'm just going to run yarn dev to bring up our Next.js server. And here it is running at localhost 3000. Now, we haven't implemented getStaticPaths yet. So what's happening is the page is loading, and then it will make the actual JavaScript API request to our Pipedream workflow, which then will return the response, but only after the browser's loaded the page. You can see I'm coming from a cold start here. It's been a long time. It's not a great experience for the end user. So instead, we're going to look up the Next.js getStaticPaths. Actually, staticprop, I think is the correct name. Yes, getStaticProp, not getStaticPath. So we're just going to copy this and put it into our main page here, which is just the index page. So we'll go underneath the export default function, and there's an async function which is past the context, and we return the props. Here we can actually retrieve the records instead of on the page initial effect, or the initial page load effect. We'll just take this and we'll put it in here, and you know, I'm gonna keep it, yeah, I'll keep it in here, that's fine. And then we'll await the data just like we did in, well, we didn't actually await there. We're going to await for the data to return. We're not going to set records at all. We're just going to return the data from our retrieve records function. And then we'll await for it. So that way we actually wait for the function to complete, and we'll have the houses. Let's call it houses. They're tiny house communities. The communities is a better variable name. Communities. Under props, we'll just put the, why am I complicating things? It should be just records. We call it records everywhere else. And we'll inject the records as a prop to the page. So what's going on here is this particular hook is called at build time, not at request time. getStaticProps will be called. It goes through here, and it retrieves the records at build time, and then we can pass the records as a prop to the initial function up here in the home. So now we should have records available when this page is rendered, and we can forget using state, and now we have a nice, easy way of injecting records without worrying about performance or a lot of invocations hitting our Pipedream workflow, because we're building it one time. So we're asking Pipedream one time at build time for this data, and then we're creating the HTML, the flat HTML from all of the records in our Airbase table. Airtable base. So then we can refresh the page here, make sure that we're reading this documentation correctly. So here's a great example. We could see we did a similar thing. They awaited a fetch. They called it a post, and then they returned the props posts. The posts are then populated at build time thanks to the result of this function down here called getStaticProps. Now I'm getting some errors. Maybe my API key is old. Yes, so I since our last video, I refreshed the API key because it was public. I published it publicly. I'm gonna do that again. I'm just going to go to my settings and quickly make another API key. Regenerate an API key, make a new one, and copy that. So now we can actually edit our workflow once again and change the API key here. So we'll edit the step and we'll reconfigure the account. Well, we can actually reconnect the account easier. We'll go to our sources and I'll look for my Airtable source. I think it's called Pierce. Wow, I'm having a hard time finding it. I will find it. I clearly have a lot of sources. I make a lot of these things from day to day. There should be an Airtable connected account. Oh my gosh, account, not source, please. Okay, so under account, this is our connected Tiny House API workflow, and I'll reconnect my account with this brand new key and save it. This way I don't have to edit my workflow. I can just overwrite the API key, and now we have a fresh API token that we can use. So I'm going to, once again, refresh the page and hopefully trigger, there we go, awesome. So now we're developing locally, so this is going to be a real-time update. Once we build the actual website, instead of waiting for the page to load and then asking for this information, this will be a flat HTML file with all the communities and pictures included. Great, so we solved that. That's awesome. The other benefit of doing it this way is that we don't have to have a workflow, use a data cache or anything like that. And we can save ourselves a ton on invocations because when users load this page on a live website, they're not actually hitting the Pipedream workflow. Only our build server is. So if you're using GitHub Actions, that's when you'll be incurring the invocations, not at when the user actually loads this page. However many people you have visiting this page will not affect your workflow invocation count. And that just about covers it. I just wanted to do a quick video on Bruce's question using getStaticProps instead of using the normal on-page load and then grabbing the data from the browser, which will save us a ton of invocation cost. I hope this was useful. In the next episode, I'm thinking about doing individual tiny homes and also having a form to create a new tiny house listing community in the Airtable database. Have a great day.